Wow, look at us. We're here. It's been so long.
Look at us. Look at us.
Um,
Who would
you,
have
you,
thought?
you,
Not
you,
me.
you might used to remember that we used to like recap TV shows like a long time ago. We're back doing that now. We're
It's
back
been a
doing that
hundred
now.
years.
It's been 100 years. It's like that meme of like Rose from the Titanic. It's been 80 years. Yeah, but yeah, we are back to recap The Last of Us. But before we get to that, Courtney, how's it going?
It's going good. I found this. Thanks, Dee,
Yeah,
for
very
sending
very
this.
nice
And I
shirt.
think I've
Yeah.
never worn it in an episode.
Yeah, really nice
You
shirt
know,
that
I
we
had to
need to
make it
make available.
special. We had
Yeah.
the first one of 2023. Did we even do one in 2022?
So we did like the first few months of the year, and then
Was that why the last
well,
man that we did?
it was Why the Last Man. We also did like Severance, and
I
then we
didn't do
like
the
just
severance one because I was
yeah,
too
okay,
busy. Yeah.
and then yeah, we like just dropped off after that. But
That's the
we're
thing.
back
Why the
though.
last man traumatized me so much
Yeah,
that
Courtney
I'm just
like
like, I don't know
stopped
if I can do
watching
this anymore.
TV. She sold all her
I was
TV.
in
She
therapy.
canceled the TV
Like
subscription.
I went
Like
to
Why the
therapy
Last
in
Man just
Europe.
did
It was
her.
so bad that I had to like do some specialized therapy they don't do in America. But no, we came back for something that was worthy
Yeah,
of us coming back because this is worthy.
The Last of Us. Yeah. So before we get to that, I have two random questions for you. First, um, by chance, what's your favorite zombie movie?
I know this is like a cliche, but I really love Shaun of the Dead.
That's not cliche because it's
It
actually really good.
it's really good. I
Yeah.
like that, and I like 28 Days Later.
Yes,
Yeah,
which
those
is
are my top
mine.
two.
Yes, and I was going to say there might be some comparisons here that I'll make later. I'll hold on to that. So yeah, mine is 28 days
There's
later.
illusions too in the show
Yeah,
itself. So
yeah.
okay, can I say one thing too though? Is like I think we were tired because of The Walking Dead, which I'm sorry to say this. Thank God it's done. It needed to be done. Um, we'll get into it, but this whole and I liked it with the video game too. It kind of brings a whole new concept to zombies that
Hmm.
hasn't been done before, and it's something that's actually a little bit more believable.
Hmm.
um, we'll get into like the opening part of the episode where the doctors are talking. It's probably like the most believable concept of
Right.
zombies because it happens in real life, just
Hmm.
not with us.
Hmm.
So I think that's one reason why it's to me like it's getting up there. Like as a story, obviously it's not a movie, but as a story, it's kind of up there with like zombie concepts.
Right.
Because it's so creative. I'm like, how did they even think of that? So yeah, it's fantastic.
Like, Courtney, let me tell you, you are on your game because you actually segued into what I was going to say next. The reason why, like, I like 28 Days Later so much is because the zombie concept typically is like, just the undead walking or whatever. But with
It's like,
20,
and
with,
they're dead. That's the thing. They're
right, they're
dead.
dead. Yeah. So with 28 Days Later, what Danny Boyle did is they're like old medical videos from the 60s and 70s. So people that were suffering from rabies, like you would put a
That's
glass
right. It's
water in
based
front
off
of
of
them,
rabies.
and
Mm-hmm.
they would freak out, and that's what the zombies are based
Because
on.
that's probably the closest we got to human like
Right.
zombie behavior is rabies. Because like it acts very quickly, but you
Mm-hmm.
know they'll bite people, and that's how you can
Mm-hmm.
get it. I think that's how the concept of zombie bites came to
Right.
be, is because you can get rabies that way, and
Right.
rabies is the only virus that's 100% lethal. I think there's only one case ever of survival.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, that's what I think. With 28 Days Later, I think it like it kind of brought it. It's like one of those movies. Is like people forget, but it made it a thing. In
Right.
my mind, it made it a thing. So I think this kind of brings that back because I think what people got lost in is like it needs to be like a scary concept that's believable. So the rabies made it believable, and the cordyceps, which is a real thing, is very believable.
Right.
And we'll get into why. But when I was actually in a meeting with one of our infectious disease doctors, and he loves it for that reason because he's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's actually he's like when I see some of these things, he's like, yes, that's what that looks like. Yes, that's what it
Mm-hmm.
would look like probably. And he's like, it's realistic in the way that they said how it happens, and that's one thing I appreciate about the show that it kind of delved into that the game didn't, which is made, why made explain why this was plausible.
Mhm.
So I think it's not just like a copy paste of the game, which they are, like being very loyal, which I love. They somehow, like the parts that they add, it's better.
Yeah.
We'll get into it, but it's better. That's all I wanted to say. But if one of my infectious disease doctors was like, "Yeah, it's good," that's how you know.
Yeah, so I want to start with the creator of the show. So first, give props to Neil Druckmann. You know, I think he's like the co-CEO of like Naughty Dog, but he also like wrote the
Hmm.
game. But Craig Mazin, who if you haven't seen the Chernobyl miniseries, it is fantastic. So once I
Hmm.
saw his name attached to this, I was like, I know what like we're getting into because on top of like what these let me go on a small little rant here. So what I hate most about like most zombie shows or zombie movies is um humans are like surviving in like this post-apocalyptic world, but they don't really give people a reason to survive. So
Hmm.
it's like it seems like
I would
futile.
just
Like
kill
what? Like
myself. Let's
yeah,
be real.
exactly. Like being real. Like why are you even doing this?
Just kill yourself. Like,
But yeah, going back to Chernobyl, like it's like what he
yes.
did well with that miniseries is like he showed people navigating this world and also kind of like the lies that people tell themselves to like keep going forward. And I knew he would bring a lot of that into this show, and that's what we got. And I'm glad Neil Druckmann is on as like he's actually I think he's like co-showrunner of this. So not like he's
Hmm.
not
And
just
I
consultant,
think
like
that's one
he's
of the reasons
heavily
it makes it
involved.
so good, because like when they
Right.
adapt these things, they don't do that. It's like this person wrote the story, so they're gonna. It's like when Game of Thrones brought on George R. R. Martin. Like that's, and then we saw that's honestly what made it so good, is because like he brought
Right.
the creative mind, who would probably know best how to adapt it.
Exactly.
So
So yeah, we got a lot of that, and yeah, so let's jump into the basically the prologue, that opening scene, which was like an interview, which like there are no zombies here, there are no monsters in this opening scene,
and
but
the game
it's
doesn't have
still
that. Yeah.
but it's still like terrifying. So Courtney, just walk us through like that opening scene.
So again, I'll again start that the whole first part up until like it gets to nighttime is not in the game, which makes this so good. So the very first part takes place in the 60s. It's these epidemiologists, infectious disease doctors talking about global warming, one that is very real. We're experiencing it. Why?
Hmm.
Because it's 60 degrees in January. I don't care if it's
Hmm.
Alabama, that's not normal. So they're talking about how the cordyceps virus, or not, I'm sorry, virus, it's a fungus. Um, it's an ant. It's an ant. So the reason why it never crossed to humans, because I think the highest temperature it can survive is 94 degrees. What? Hey, Ron, do you know the average human body temperature?
Yeah, there was a boy band named after it, but yeah.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
98 degrees.
but
So
but yeah.
yeah, so like that seems like it's not a lot, but it's a lot. But what they were talking about is with global warming, these fungi have to actually I've heard it called fungi, and I'm like, but I'm gonna say fungi, so I don't care if you study this.
I am
It sounds
firmly on team
uncomfortable.
fungi. Yeah.
Yeah, fungi, I don't like that.
Yeah. I'm not with that.
Um
No.
I don't. It sounds weird. So it basically, they're like it could cross over if this global warming continues, because they have to adapt. And I think it takes place in what, 2003, four
Yeah,
is when
so
yeah.
2003. Yeah.
So, and that's really when
Which
things started
which I'm
going.
sorry. I don't mean to laugh, but someone pointed this out. They're like, just imagine going through 9/11, then 2 years later.
Oh my Oh my God, could you imagine? But even our own pandemic, could you imagine going through that
Right.
right at? Oh God. And then we didn't really have technology. Oh
Oh yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
No.
And now I'm wondering if 9/11 happened in that year. It's like one of those things. It's like, do you like what was it, that Twitter thing where it's like turning red, where they're like, why didn't 9/11 happen? It's like that's a Pixar movie, bro.
Yeah.
Anyway, so oh God, that's so awful. Again, more reason for people not to live. But yeah, so basically you cut to I wouldn't say modern day, like 2003, 2004.
Hmm.
You get to follow Sarah, who you'll recognize her face for a reason. Why do we
Yeah,
recognize her face so well? Because it's copy paste.
yeah, it's a copy and paste of Tandy Newton. Like,
Yeah, like that
yeah.
that's why. So if you didn't know why, that's why. Copy paste. So anyway, she does a great job. So it's kind of going throughout the day, starting out there's school. If you one thing I did, I was watching one of those replay videos. If you watch in like the background of the school, there's a kid twitching his hands, which
Oh,
which again is so true to the actual parasite, like the fungus, because ants will twitch because they're losing control of their body.
oh, okay. Oh
Yeah,
man.
right. And one thing I really like is throughout the day, if you'll watch the episode, like they show you a clock to show
Hmm.
you the
Hmm.
progression of
Hmm.
the day, which is really good. I'm like, oh, I know what they're doing. So basically, she goes and gets her. She takes money out of her dad's drawer and his watch. She goes to get his watch fixed for his birthday, which is really sweet. Um, and the one intriguing part is when they actually. I have to rewind. What was it they were talking about? Oh, there's this problem in Jakarta. I
Yeah, in
think
Jakarta.
is in
Yeah.
Jakarta. And I always my favorite though is always in this, even though I like this movie, okay, it's a terrible movie, but if you look at it as a comedy, it's a good movie, is The Happening.
I knew
I
you were
like
gonna
it
say the happening. I knew you were
because
gonna
I'm
say the
telling you, it's a
happening.
horrible movie until you look at it as a comedy and then it's amazing.
But
But
the but the
I
but
love
the
it when they
concept is like really
allude to it
close.
starting
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's so good when they allude to it starting and they're like, it's that's Jakarta. Like, I don't know why I love that trope. I just love it starting somewhere else and people disregarding it. I don't know why I love that trope. So it kind of gives you like little omens and hints, but it really picks up when she actually gets to I guess it's a jewelry store or actually it's a watch store because when he pulls the thing down, it's a clock. But you see like all of these fire trucks go by and police go by and they're headed towards the hospital, which I'm like, oh my God, I work at a hospital. I'm like, I'd be screwed. If there was ever a zombie thing, I would be one of the first ones to go
Yeah,
because I
we'll be
work at
like,
a
damn,
hospital.
RP
I'm
Courtney.
going
Yeah.
down. I'm at the only level 1 trauma center in my state. I would be going down so fast. I would probably be one of the ones in like randomly infected that gets shot in the first episode. But anyway, so that, and then the shopkeeper's wife is like, we got to close down. He's like, I got to fix this watch. I got to fix this watch. So then she goes home. Things are normal. She goes to her neighbor's house, this old couple who's watching, I don't know whose mom it is, kind of like a very quiet old lady. Important things to know is like, I think someone pointed out is like, look at how many times like they had the opportunity to have like drink water or something like that or consume something and they don't do it. Like they don't eat the biscuits and stuff like that. And it's just like, oh my God, like the close encounter. The old lady's being kind of weird. And Sarah goes to leave and at one point I think she's like swipes like a DVD. What is it? In the Viper, something in the Viper that I think is
Yeah.
based off of, what is that based off of? A Cobra Kai. I feel like it's like
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely like something like that. But anyway, she swipes that, and in the background, like the old lady's like
Yeah. She's like,
twitching. It's like really creepy. And it reminded me of some movie. I forget what it was. It wasn't a zombie movie, but there was like this creepy old lady twitching too. I'm gonna
it
remember it.
probably
Like,
was damn.
you know what I'm talking about,
I feel
though.
like I know what you're talking about.
I think it was like an allusion to that, but like
Yeah.
it reminded me very much of that. I can't remember now. That I will remember in 3 business days. We'll remember it probably at like the end of the
Yeah.
episode. But anyway, and then she goes home to dad, and this is where it picks up at this exact point where the video game starts. Is they go to watch this movie, you know, very cute father-daughter moment. Pedro Pascal, y'all know how I feel about him. Great father-daughter moments, and then we do to get to see Uncle Tommy, who sounds and looks just like the video game character. I don't know how they did that, but excellent casting. She falls asleep, and then Pedro Pascal, Joel, has to go pick up his brother for getting in a bar fight. And I'm wondering, because he said, it's not my fault this time. I'm wondering if those people had already started getting aggressive.
They were, yeah. That was
exactly
my
what
thought.
happened.
Because he was like, yeah, it's not my fault this time. The guy was acting crazy. He just lunged out at
and
him.
they threw him in jail. So he came and got him, and then Sarah wakes up because like there's things exploding in the background, and the dog is like begging to get in, and she eventually goes to her neighbor's house. And then you see
Mm-hmm.
the guy, the husband, and he's like half eaten, and then
Mm-hmm.
she turns and the old lady is eating her own daughter, and it's really fucked up. And then you see Joel kill her by doing that, and there, it gets really traumatic very fast. It's a play for play scene of them driving, going to the interstate. Everyone's in the interstate, so they drive through town. Plane. One thing they switched up, it's plane debris instead of a car crash, which I kind of
Yeah.
like. It crashes them, then all of a sudden she can't walk because of the car accident, and you
Mm-hmm.
know where it's going from there. And you start to see more
Yeah.
infected people attacking people in the background. And unfortunately, and one thing I saw this, and I really appreciated this in the video game because, and I'll lead up to this point. Whenever you see like military or police and like these zombie things, it usually means, oh, you're safe, you're good, you're fine. But in here, it does not mean that. So they are getting chased by an infected military person, shoots the infected. And so they think they're safe, but then he's kind of keeps the gun pointed at him. And I saw where someone said this, that if she probably didn't break her leg, he might have let them live because she probably looked infected, which
Yeah.
is really hard. The whole thing is heartbreaking. The series of
Yeah, because as
events.
she was hobbling, like you can't tell, like
Yeah, because you can't tell. I think if she
I
was standing and fine, I think he might have let
and
them
look, this
live.
isn't a podcast that gives like any credit to like police officers or law
Ever.
enforcement, but like from their standpoint, like
Exactly. The
you
thing is,
can't
like, you saw
tell.
where kids were getting infected too.
Yeah, you
I
can't tell.
get it. Because you don't know, they can turn very
Mm.
quickly. So, and they didn't know, this is day one. They
Yeah.
didn't know. But anyway, so Joel goes to turn around. He's holding Sarah. They shoot. They both fall. He's fine. Then Tommy shows up out of nowhere, shoots the military man. But then you look over and Sarah's been shot in the abdomen, and it's really bad. And we watch her die in Joel's arms, which I guess if you haven't seen the game, which if you played the game too, you thought the same thing, because a lot of these things are like father-daughter trope
Yeah.
type thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, they're gonna, this is Tandy Newton's daughter. She's gonna, she's gonna be fine. She dies. And it is Pedro Pascal and oh god, I feel bad for forgetting the actress's name. Tandy Newton's daughter.
Is it it's Nico Parker.
It's Nico Parker. She is phenomenal. They both do such a fantastic job of displaying that emotion. It is just a gut punch. Even if you know what's happening, it's devastating. Just to see the loss of a parent and a child. And I will let you recap after this, but then all of a sudden you get 20 years later, which is just like it's whiplash. It's like, oh shit, 20 years.
I want to talk about like something like clever that the show did by filling in the gaps, because
I love the details, the backstory.
Yeah. So starting with that, well, going back to that prologue that shows like that interview, it's almost like that very like calm presence, like right before like a storm or a tornado, but like you have like this overwhelming sense of dread. Yeah, they established that, but also what they do is they put the attention on the daughter and have you follow her and have you get to know her.
Fall in love with her, really, because she's like a charming kid.
Yeah. Like she's like such a charming kid, and like the whole time I'm watching this, I was like, I know what you like. Of course, I know what's coming, but I'm like, what an adorable kid, and then that happens, and so what it's doing is jumping into the future after this a little bit. It's showing you how much this relationship meant to Joel, and how like losing that really affects him. But as you know, like he will soon assume another like father like role, but you could tell like how devastated he was, because like Tommy and his daughter is all he has, so like that's like a major loss to
her
him.
mom like left early in the picture.
Right.
Oh, one thing I want to add, that another detail that wasn't given in the game that I love here, because a lot of times when these zombie movies happen, it's like, how did this person survive? Come on. Both like there's like little stickers that indicate it on the car. Both Tommy and Joel are war veterans in Desert Storm. So I love that, because I'm like, okay, if someone went through Desert Storm, I can believe that they would know what to do.
Yes.
or just have the tactical skills. Like that makes sense. I just love it, like, because it makes it realistic. Because it's like if they flash to B-20, I'm like, okay, how did this bitch make it? Let's be real.
Like you're
Like
just in a closet for
she
20
has an
years.
inhaler on her. How did she make it? But no, it makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, just like those little fine details. Also, I want to point out, um, so like I really love cinematography, and
Oh, the car. Are
so
you talking about
the car scene was so difficult
it's
to
like an
pull
allusion to like
off.
Children of Men, I think did
Yeah,
it first, which
yes,
is one of
yes,
my like all-time favorite movies.
yes,
It's in the video game did it too, but for like
yes.
the show to do it
Yeah, and
almost better.
the way it was framed, because they're like going in reverse. And like you're seeing like
And
things
you're
from
only
like
seeing
both
the
perspectives.
front, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the way that was framed was like wonderful. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, that's what I knew. Like, okay, we're in safe
This is
hands with this show.
cooking. We're cooking
Yeah,
here.
yeah. That's when I knew that we were in safe hands with this show. But yeah, let's jump to the
And that's
to
the
the
thing, that's not
future
even the
now.
end of the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just the first 20 minutes. Yeah. So what I first off, let me say what I really like about the show is like the expansion of oh yeah, spoiler alert, I didn't finish the game, so I
It's a long
because
game. It's a hard
I'm
game.
like the world's worst gamer, so I didn't finish the game, but I know enough about the game to talk about the
You know how it
character.
ends.
Yeah, so Marlene is actually played by like the voice actress, and I do like
I was gonna
that
say
they
they look a lot alike.
Mhm, mhm.
I'm like, that's too good of a casting. And
Yeah.
can I make a small blurb, like a small tangent? Is that like I feel like we need to respect voice actors more. So I love
Yes.
the fact that they filled in the voice actor there
Mhm,
because just like how they hire like celebrities for voice
mhm,
roles and that's taken away from voice actors. I love that.
mhm.
Give voice actors more roles.
Yeah, so she's in here and she's like her character is expanded. But before we go to Marlene, like Joel's on a mission. Like
That's right.
he has contact with like this because they're in the
He's a
QZ,
smuggler
the quarantine
now.
zone. He's a smuggler. You know, he has the good stuff from Atlanta, but he's also trading it in because he's
I'm
trying.
like, of course this is from Atlanta. I said, of course it's from
Yeah, of course it's Atlanta. Atlanta, like that, the trap is still
Look, you
booming.
want to
You
see
know,
how Atlanta's faring, but we'll never. Could you imagine? Anyway,
like there's a one Waffle House that's like still open.
it's
Like,
fine.
yeah, it's fine. Like just
But no,
going.
imagine like infect the employees. It makes sense.
It makes
Like,
sense.
catch the chair with one hand.
Yeah,
Yep.
it
Anyway,
makes sense. But yeah, so he's trying to acquire this battery because clearly he's on a mission.
do
Um,
you know? Do you remember why? This is a detail they changed.
oh no, no,
Because
no.
Tommy hasn't answered him in 2 weeks, and he
Yeah,
wants to
yeah.
go
Oh yeah,
find
that's
Tommy. In
right.
the game, it's just to get guns.
Yeah,
So to me, it
it
makes more
makes
sense
sense
because he needs to
that he's
fix
trying
a
to get
truck to
Tommy.
go see Tommy.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, they have like this very intricate, which a character later breaks, but they have this very intricate code that they use, and Tommy hasn't responded in 2 weeks. So he that means he would have to get a battery for his truck, leave the QZ, go in and basically into like no man's land, which is the infected area, to go retrieve Tommy. Not the safest mission, but Joel being Joel, and like this is all that he has left. He really wants to do it. I will say, I because I'm familiar with with the actress, Anna Torv. She was on shit. I forgot the name of that show. Just that
Yeah.
quick. Ah, it
Until
slipped
you
my
forgot,
mind.
I would have remembered.
But she's also a
She's
mind hunter.
phenomenal.
But
Huh?
her
Yeah.
she's also a mind hunter. But her introduction as Tess, I was like, I didn't even realize that was her. Like, but then I saw her as Tess, I was like, it makes sense. She's a good
It
Tess.
makes sense. I think the fact that a little more rough around the edges
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense because you're in an apocalypse.
She looks like she's been through shit. Fringe is the show. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's it.
she looks
This is
like
the game.
she's
She
been through
had
some
bangs
shit.
like
Yeah,
me in the bank in
yeah,
the game, and just think about it. It's like if there's an apocalypse, I mean, okay, actually, knowing the state of people might cut their own bangs.
Yeah.
But priorities, like I'm like that's too fresh of a hairstyle. Like this takes a
Yeah.
lot to maintain. So I'm
Yeah.
glad they kind of changed that up a little bit.
Yeah. Um, so Test Two is trying to like Tess's job is to like get the battery for the truck, but she gets screwed over by what's the character's name? I can't
Oh,
recall.
can't remember.
But yeah, basically like he screws her over. Like then there's like an explosion that allows her to like get loose because like yeah, that's our introduction to
There's
like the
the fair
fireflies.
fireflies, which
Yeah, the
Tommy is a
fireflies.
former firefly.
Yep. Which will, um, which I will say I'm curious to yeah. I'm just gonna stop here and talk about this. I'm curious to know like what they do with the fireflies in the show because
Because they're very complex. They're
yeah
not a good or an evil.
right and they like most like I guess extremist groups like they have like this specific purpose which we'll get to later and they're like bound by this purpose and they're
It's
like
I
okay
would
this
compare them
is
to like an environmental extremist group.
yeah
There's like there's thought to it, but it's like, are the methods always?
the methods are always the greatest. Yeah, the
Hmm.
methods are always the best. So yeah, they are they too are implanted in the QZ zone because they're like wreaking havoc, but they're doing it for a specific reason. I'm jumping around here, but I just quickly want to
There's
get
too
to the
much.
I
There's too
just
much to
quickly
go
want to get
over.
to
It's
the introduction of the
exciting.
character. Yeah. So when we meet her, she's going by I can't remember what name she's going by, but Ellie.
Hmm.
So what makes Ellie so special, and why are they trying to protect her?
So we'll get into this, and it looks like we're going to by a name that was mentioned. This is something we only got hints of, but it was played through in a DLC. So 2 weeks ago, Ellie was with a friend named Riley. I don't know what they were doing. I think they snuck out one last night because Riley was gonna go join the Fireflies. They both get bitten. Um, Riley dies 2 weeks later, as you notice, because usually it takes 48 hours for the fungus to take course.
Mm,
Ellie's fine. So Ellie is immune, which is unheard of.
yeah,
So she still has the
which
bite mark and it's starting to heal, which they do not heal. If you notice,
right.
and this will be brought up, it doesn't heal because it's going to progress.
Mm.
Hers is healing.
Yeah, which like changes everything, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you're like so if she's able to be like immune to this, then her like she
Might
has
get
some
a
antibody
cure.
that could cure like yeah that could cure everybody. So that's why she's so special to the Fireflies. And
Who will
we
try to
learned
cure this? Yeah.
right. So we learned that she was basically like put into like this military camp to basically like acquire skills, but what like the once the bite happened, they're like, well, shit, this is serendipitous. Like you're the person that we implanted. You're bitten. You're fine. So now we're going to transport you out of the QZ zone, and yeah, because you're like the
Well, she
key
was
to all of
chained up
this.
for 2 weeks. They had
Yeah,
her
she was
chained
sure.
up for
Yeah,
2 weeks.
yeah. So every day they will walk in and ask her like her name and like, are you infected? And she's like, no. Like, like it's like say they're like what say your ABCs or like yeah
And
they
she
were
was
like
like
give
pissed. She's like, what?
yeah.
And then he was helping her. I thought that was so good.
Yeah, that part was good. Yeah. But yeah, like that so so it's kind of tropey, but somehow this show avoids like doing it in a way that like feels familiar because like yeah, if like you knew nothing about the show, you're like, okay, we have the girl, we have the guy, and they're both trying to leave. So obviously their paths are going
It
to
is very
converge.
Mandalorian, though.
Right.
But the
It's
thing
funny.
is,
Yeah.
before Mandalorian, you really didn't see it that much. Of
Right.
like, so and it's funny because Pedro Pascal does both. He just does it so well. But
Yeah.
it's like it's a trope. But I think when it's like not your own child, it works. I think
Yeah.
you have to do it carefully, but it works in these because it's believable in these scenarios. Because he has PTSD. He lost his preteen teenage daughter.
Mhm.
But he did get flashbacks when he saw Ellie for the first time as Sarah.
Yeah,
because you
yeah,
probably don't see
yeah.
that many children.
Hmm. Yeah, I because yeah, I saw someone tweeted this. They're like, yeah, you got to be pretty sick to get pregnant during a zombie apocalypse. So I was like, yeah,
Listen,
I
there's one
mean,
thing people will always
it,
prioritize.
I mean, there's yeah, like you said, there's one thing people aren't going to stop doing. So yeah.
I mean, you saw what happened when COVID, like those numbers went up. People had
Yeah.
more babies.
So yeah, that's what we have
I guess you
here
don't get your birth control anymore.
at well, yeah, and I mean other, methods,
What are
just
you gonna
toss
do with
those
your
out the
time? What
window.
are you gonna do with your
Yeah.
time?
Yeah. But yeah, like so Tess goes back to the room with Joel, and she says like, "Hey Joel, you're screwed out the battery, but I got a plan. We could go track him down. We could get it." And this is how we bring like our two parties together because as Tess and Joel are breaking into this compound to look for the guy that has the battery, we notice like there was a massive shootout and he's
Mm-hmm.
now dead and the battery is bad and right next to them. But we meet but Marlene meets face to face with Joel. Obviously they know each other, and she basically gives Joel a job like, hey, like everything you need at your disposal if you transport this cargo. Once again, very Mandalorian, very
Because I mean, the thing is, I
Mandalorian-ish.
think he's got to take her to where Tommy is
Yeah,
anyway,
right.
which is like what I think it's Seattle.
Yeah. And by the way, they're in Boston. Just to
Yeah, they're
just
in
to
Boston. Which
just to
I'm
just
okay.
just
I
to
saw this
reinstate
funny
that.
take where it's like Boston that's run down because like before we get to this point, like we get like a 20 years later we get Boston run down, and someone was like, "Oh, it looks better." But I think that's one thing that's important is we saw this child who like goes in and like we get like a good introduction of how society works. It's like this huge gate. It's run by the government, which is
Mhm.
kind of like very oppressive. Um, and the child tests positive, and the lady, like the cop lady, was like acting real sweet. She's like, "Oh, we're just gonna give you some medicine to make you feel better," and makes you feel like they're going to, but then you see the child dead. It makes I think his Joel's like real job or like normal non-smuggling job is to like waste disposal. And I think like one thing I saw like one of the infectious disease person say it's like very identical to how ants, you know, take deal with dead ants as they pile them up in bodies, and that's what they were doing is piling them up because we're not that different from nature.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good point. A lot of the comparisons to ants because the child just gets thrown in this pit with other bodies because it
Yeah.
just kind of shows you how real this is.
Yeah, because it sounds bleak, but that's probably truly one of the only ways to like stop the spread of this. Like if someone's infected, you just have to,
I think they euthanize.
yeah, you
Yeah,
have to
which is
euthanize them like
probably
right
like
at
one
that
of the more
moment.
humane ways to deal with it
Yeah, yeah, because it's at that point like it's better than having them like go through like the transformation,
because
which
it's painful. It looks
yeah, which
painful. It looks
which
like you're
looks
aware of
painful. Yeah,
happening.
yeah, like because how it was described in that medical video, you're basically like a puppet on a marionette. Like your body is like overheated and is
And but
almost
you're
like
conscious, like you're
yeah.
somewhat conscious.
Yeah, it's like you're basically dead but conscious at the same time, but you have like no control over your body, which sounds
Which is what happens to the
crazy.
ants because like
Yeah.
they're basically being guided what to do, which is against their own survival instincts.
So yeah, if I had my choice, yeah, go ahead,
Go
yeah,
ahead, euthanize me.
give me the
Sorry,
jet.
like that needed to
Yeah.
be addressed because it kind of sets up the kind of world that we're in now.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and that's also what I wanted to say. Like they did a very good job. It was like an hour and a half, but still feel like an hour. But they did a very good job like establishing like this world and like
The
how it
universe and
operates.
oh, that's
Yeah.
there we got it. It's like yeah, it is my favorite. It's like oh yeah, Boston looks better. The only place. So yeah, they're going from Boston to Seattle, which is difficult even when there's not a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, like it's difficult like just flying southwest from Boston to Seattle. So like just imagine driving a truck through like the affected country.
Like why
Like
they chose like two of the most Caucasian cities in the nation too. I'm sorry, I just noticed that.
Like I could just imagine like just being in a post-apocalyptic world and they're like, run, we have to go to Denver. I'm like, nah, I'll stay here.
Or same thing
Going,
with Boston. I'm like,
yeah,
I'd
no,
rather take on the Atlanta zombies
yeah.
than go
Give
to
me the
Boston.
yeah,
Because
give
I
me
like
like
something tells me that like somehow they would still be racist.
yeah. Like, could you imagine it like a
Like
racist
you can
zombie?
overpower the fungus just enough to be racist.
Yeah.
Like I would believe that for Boston.
Yeah, like the zombie is like biting you, and then like it just like as it's biting me, it's
I'm
like
sorry, that just reminded me of the what was that? That was a Key and Peele sketch.
yeah.
That the zombies, the racist zombies. Sorry, that's a whole Key and Peele sketch actually.
Like a zombie's just biting me and then whispers like moon cricket in my ear or something. Like just like
Or they
no,
just don't
like
bite you at all.
yeah, like nah.
So, no, that's
What?
literally the sketch. Sorry. Anyway, you're going from Boston to Seattle, um, by car,
Yeah,
which sucks.
yeah. And that's a I'm gonna look this up
Yeah, look
now
that
because
up. And one thing I
out
was
of
just thinking
curiosity.
about too, I was just like, it's like one of those times where it really would be better just if you were like living on a farm already, because you get a little more of an independent life. I always wonder
That
how they got there because I
is
think Joel was living in Texas.
yeah, they were in Austin. Yeah.
That's a long
Ooh,
trip.
ooh,
How long of a
yeah.
trip is that by car?
Google just told me, sorry, we cannot calculate the driving directions.
No, it's like, why would you go there?
Yeah, it's like, why would you do this? Yeah. Yeah, Google's like, nah, don't even. So yeah, 43,000
Is that
and
even is that even
yeah,
possible to be a straight shot, or is it like this?
yeah, 3,000 miles. And no, it's not. Yeah, you couldn't do a straight shot. Yeah, because you basically, well, I guess you
Because
could
the
do a
highway
straight. Yeah, I
system.
was about to say, I guess you could do a straight
I
shot
don't
now,
even think you
but
could do the highway system anymore. You'd have to like somehow backroad it.
yeah. So you could either go through Canada or go through like Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, then through the Dakotas to get there. Yeah. So it's
Either way,
kind of
that sounds
like,
terrible.
yeah, no, no. Tell me I love you, but no. So-
I'm still I'm sorry, I'm like, why Boston? It's
yeah,
like
like
imagine if
what?
there's a zombie apocalypse. It's like, why would your first thought, I'm going to Boston?
Oh,
Who says that?
yeah. I feel like if the like
That's
the
the most
city,
horrifying part of this episode.
I feel like if there's like a zombie apocalypse, like the safest place you could be is probably like Mobile or something. I don't know. I just get to feel like yeah, like you probably wouldn't even know if you were in Mobile. Probably wouldn't even know.
When you know. That's
Yeah,
what I was thinking about. Why not stay in Texas? Because I feel like Texas could probably take it on.
I don't know. It's tech. Yeah, Austin's a big ass city, but Texas, like as a state, is just like not like now that I'm thinking about that because now you have like the
And you have
Doug.
like your own, like it sucks now, like in the context because we see the news, but like they have their own grid.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Like that, like my mind always is like I would always go like that's the only time to like Texas having its own stuff is like better is like if there was an apocalypse.
like imagine like a zombie like Doug Dimmadome or like Buck Strickland,
Right.
like, like
No, if you go to Florida, you're like nothing has changed.
nothing has changed. Yeah, the iguanas are just roaming freely. Crocodiles are just asleep on the porch. Cocaine crocodiles, excuse me.
Oh my god, yeah,
Nothing has
cocaine.
changed. Nothing has changed. Everything's the same down in Florida.
So yeah, that's like one of the times where I feel like the South would be the better place to go.
Yeah.
Is in an apocalypse.
Oh yeah, like I would definitely
Like
like
there's
just
like those regions, like if they fight, like if Texas and Florida are in the same region, we're win.
yeah.
Like if we're going off crazy, just off of craziness. Well, actually, you have Louisiana too.
Mhm.
Anywhere that's got alligators,
Yeah.
that you're done.
Yeah, like if the zombie apocalypse happened, like I'm definitely staying in like the SEC states. Like, yeah, why would I
It
go to
just means
Boston?
more.
It just means like why would I go to Boston?
Sorry. I can't get over that. I know, like we're so sidetracked, but that just hit me. Why would you go to Boston? We need to do a poll
Yeah,
of where you would go.
like where you would go.
I'm serious. Like we should do a poll because I need to know. Would you, it also a follow up? Would you go to Boston?
No,
You mean wait? They're
I'm not
leaving
going to.
Boston. That's the
Yeah,
most
they're leaving
important thing.
Boston. They're leaving Boston, and I like the. So I like.
Get the fuck out of Boston. That's the goal. We need
So,
D here. We need D on.
we need D to like keep us straight, but
Anyway, we're
but yeah,
leaving Boston.
well yeah, as they're leaving Boston, I like the mirror that they set up. So because Joel's reaction in like present day is what he wishes he would have done, you know, in 20 it
And so he
you
has a
know.
PTSD flashback
Mhm.
at
Yeah,
the end of the
so
episode.
yeah, so um
Oh, that's right, because they do like the thing
they
where
do
it's
like
like,
the
oh,
similar thing, yeah,
and
where
he's gonna shoot her because,
yeah.
and I think I don't even think he really cares about her particularly, other
No,
than like the
but
cargo. It's like, yeah, it's exactly what he wishes he would have done.
yeah, he just has PTSD. He has that flashback, and he doesn't care that this is like actually the guy that's been like helping him out. He's just like nah, like I'm just going to like break your face with my hand,
He just
and
beats him to
yeah,
death,
and just beats him to
and
death.
Ellie's like, oh, okay.
And Ellen's like, oh shit, you're for real, yeah.
Oh,
But
and right before that, yeah, like they confront her because of right. She's like, it's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks.
yeah, she's
Which
like
they
it's
still
2
have
weeks.
doubts.
Yeah,
They'll have doubts until a certain point. We won't go over that because it's a spoiler.
yeah, because
We
even
can't
though
say
it's
it
yeah, I'm not gonna say even though it's been 2 weeks, like she's still showing as like she's positive too, right?
because I mean,
Yeah,
it's just like I had COVID in November.
right.
Even though I don't like, sometimes I'll show like for up to 90 days. They said I
Hmm.
can show as positive even though I'm not.
Hmm.
So I think because the antibodies. So she's got those antibodies, and I think as long as you got that, you're gonna be positive. It's the same concept.
Yeah, and of course, if you look at that scar, that bite, you're like, oh yeah, she's definitely yeah,
It's not even a scar yet. It's still a bite, and if you don't know
yeah,
better,
yeah. If you don't know better, you would think
that's
like
a
it's a
gnarly
fresh
bite
bite.
too.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty. Um, I will say, since you caught like a little Easter egg at the beginning, did you catch one at the end of the episode as things were fading away?
What was it?
Like on top of the building, you see like a clicker crawling.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do see
There's
like
a
where the was against the wall, the
uh
person who was growing. I
yeah.
love that. That was so well done. The only thing like I know people are arguing about is they're not doing the spores. And I think because they said it's not realistic, because they're like, well,
Mm,
you wouldn't be able to breathe anything anywhere.
right.
And I'm like, okay, that's valid.
Mm,
That is how it spreads, but I can see that.
yeah,
Like maybe
and
they'll do like if it's like tight spaces, they're spores.
mm,
I get it though, because they're right. It's not very realistic. It's you would need to wear a gas mask all the time.
yeah, and for a show like that would take a lot away. So yeah, it's not realistic. And I do like how they did it here because even that one scene, like
I'm gonna have to look.
because like I've always explained how I like hate exposition, but they like talk about like what happens like without like a lot of like dialogue because you see the person on the wall and they're like yes, and then they're like oh yeah he's already gone. So like what happens.
I
Yeah,
just saw it. That's cool. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. Oh, you just saw the clicker. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I wonder if we're gonna get like all the stages. Like there's like stages. And we can talk about it when we actually see them because remember it's been 20 years.
Mhm.
So in the ants and the cordyceps are stages. So we can maybe talk about the stages. We can like we put up like a thing when we actually see them. But I'm really excited to see what they do with special effects and like the makeup. Like I feel like if they do it really well, makeup and prosthetics might win an award because
Yeah,
that's going to be really intricate.
yeah, because in that trailer, like based on what I saw,
Oh,
because
sorry.
yeah,
They
I saw
hired the
something.
same voice actors for the clickers that they used in the game, which I thought was very cool.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay,
I mean, who are you going to get to make those noises?
yeah, because I hear them now. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But what were you going to say? Sorry, I just remembered that.
Sure. Oh yeah, yeah. In the trailer, there are like several of the zombies and like there are different stages, and you're like, oh shit, this looks real. Because that's the thing too. Like it has to look real because it breaks like that for a show that's like relying on like this tension
This
and like
raw
this.
realism.
Right, like it has to look real, and yeah, they've done a great job from what I see so far.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
But it's
so
just it looks fantastic. I know like you can't, you know, get too excited like with a pilot, but it has everything it needs to be successful and good.
yeah, like no notes for me. Like it was like as
Yeah,
good as
I
it
have
could have possibly
I
been.
have no
Yeah.
critiques.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's rare.
Yeah, like there's like not one part where I'm like, I wish it would have been a little more of this. Like, nah,
I
it's
think the only thing people have been saying is like the spores, but I get the reasoning. So that's valid to me.
yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, and I'm all for like shows. All right, so like there's a difference between like creative license and like taking that and using that like in a liberal manner and just there's a difference between that and like just adding context. And I think this show like adds context. It knows
Mm-hmm.
when to like provide more information to like adapt it to like the big screen. But it's not like doing anything that like for Why the Last Man. It's not doing anything like that where it's like taking away the like essence of the story. Like it's only adding to it.
It's adding to it. Like it gives it more emotion. Like since we spent the whole day with Sarah, I think before it was like, oh my, like you started the game playing as her, so that was cool. But I think part of the morning was like, oh my god, you just lost this child. But now
Hmm.
it's like you were attached to Sarah,
Hmm.
so it's just like, oh shit,
Yeah. But yeah, that's I think
it's
that's
fantastic.
it's fantastic. That's all we
10 out
have
of
for
10
now.
episode
Yeah,
for me. I'm
10 out of 10.
serious.
But yeah, we definitely want to know what everyone thinks out there. We'll be recapping this show. Like, I think we're going to recap it after as soon as the episode ends. All right.
On Sundays.
Yeah. So Sundays, check in with us. Like as soon as the episode ends, we'll be
And
recapping
don't
the
go to
show.
Boston
And don't go to Boston.
under any
Let us know. Let
circumstance.
us know where you would go. Like,
Yeah,
are
where
you
would you
a,
go and
are
why?
are you a Little Rock, Arkansas person? Like, where would you go? Like, if there was a zombie
That's a better
apocalypse?
idea than Boston.
Yeah.
It's like The Happening again. They had the right idea.
Yeah.
If Mark Wahlberg can leave Boston, so can you.
So can you.
Because they went in the middle of nowhere
Yeah.
and they were trying to get away from the plants.
Are you eyeing my lemonade drink? That's such a weird movie. That's such
I'm
a
sorry,
weird
my
movie.
favorite part. It's a comedy. It never should have been a thriller. It's a comedy because when he was talking to that house plant,
Yeah.
apologizing on behalf of humanity,
Yeah.
I was like crying. It's a comedy. If you see it as a comedy, it's like one of the best movies. I'm telling you.
I'm not sure. I'm like, and that's the only way he gets away with this because he's such a troll. But yeah,
He's a troll. He had like
yeah.
a couple of like very serious movies that were good, and then he's like, "All right, let me just like make people upset."
But yeah, that's all we have for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll be back every Sunday after the
Every
show.
single one. We're excited.
Yeah. So until next time, peace.
Peace.